Okay, so today should be officially the last day of the little blue madness that we've done, and I'm almost associating it more with just blue than with white. I was doing technically both, but I almost forget about, yeah, in 22 hours. It almost makes me wish that my day for doing magic wasn't Monday, but it was actually Tuesday. That way every expansion, it would come out right when I, am able to do the next draft right away. Now, the first time I do the draft, not that it really matters, but it'll be like basically a week late, so I'm not the biggest fan of that. Right, because not that people don't already metagame and try hard and already know all the decks and cards and like whatever, but that's fine. That's the one thing I won't necessarily make an excuse on in this game. Is like most of my decks, okay, they're deliberately a gimmick, so I'm still trying to win and I could still make misplays, but the point is at least I'm trying to win within that criteria, whereas here in a draft, I'm just trying to win, period, but of course I don't know everything and I don't have all the optimal whatever ideas in mind like other people probably do, even right when an expansion comes out and right when it's new, because why try to actually experiment or have fun with it. But we'll go ahead, we'll do what we were doing here. I don't think I really want to change anything, or maybe what I should have almost done is combine them. No, fuck that, because they all suck anyway. Right, like combine them for one final showing, but maybe I will do that, but we'll put like more of whatever one does better in the best of threes, I guess. We'll do a best of threes each like we've been doing, and then we'll make one final one that combines the two to do a best of three with, just to see. But we'll again prioritize the one that does better between the two, just to end off again what are my two least favorite colors in the game. But it doesn't matter because we just wanted to do this as a segment. So this whole expansion I've been doing exclusively blue and green, or not blue and green, blue and white. Green just lives rent-free in my head. So the next expansion we'll do red and black. The one thing I couldn't decide on was for the 10k draft that I'm going to do next episode, which I always do the first episode of the next expansion. I was wondering, should I do blue and white because, to close off this blue and white madness, or should I do black and red to sort of foreshadow the next one? And I'm not sure, actually. You might think, oh, you should do black and red just so you can stock up on cards, like, because I can't remember, did I at the beginning of this expansion, did I do blue and white for this to kind of foreshadow this one? I'm going to assume I did. It's not just an excuse not to play as the color, of course. But the main thing with this one is I have like multiple copies of stuff. That's the main change I made. Normally I'll be like, oh, I'll have one of each, even if one's clearly better than the other, just for variety's sake. But here, they're kind of multiple copies of the same thing, and also a lot lower cost, so I don't have as many high cost things. Undercity sewers, you know what that always makes me think of, as an alliance player sneaking in through the undercity sewers to try to attack undercity. But obviously that one was pretty hard to get through. Like Orgrimmar wasn't too bad. You go through like the Baron's Bridge or something. And then Thunder Bluff was arguably the hardest, but it's not really that bad because it's kind of the easiest to escape from. Like, you can just jump off the side, and being a mage, I could just use Slow Fall. So nobody's going to be able to chase you like that. Just have 40 mages go in there, Palm Pyro the shit out of Karen Bloodhoof, and then fucking jump off and Slow Fall. Not saying that would immediately kill him, but it would actually do a good chunk of his health. So you're trying to kill him with just the Invisible Stalker alone, and all these other annoying things. One thing I almost wanted to do was like make a toxic flying deck, just to see like, they won't be able to deal with the flying and they'll just get killed by that alone. Maybe I could fit that in here if I don't think I even have necessarily all the cards to do it though. But that would be mostly as white. The reason why that would be kind of cute is because of the simple fact that I treat flying almost like it's, unblockable at times, just because, looking from my perspective, there's so many green decks I play that I can't deal with it. So a lot of the time people aren't going to have that many ways to actually do it. I like how this is written in like a different language. Does Magic actually have its own official language? Is that like something from Lord of the Rings or what? Everybody always loses their mind about Tolkien in that way, like, oh, he invented his own language, like Elvish and this and that. Which is cool and all, but it wouldn't have meant as much if the story wasn't so good around it. Like, anybody could just, whatever. So there's some weird spellbook effect with that, which I don't even do, because the whole point of this is to not play spells and to prevent other people from doing it, not for actually indulging it myself. Look at this cutesy kawaii card back that we have here, which I don't know what the hell that has to do with Magic the Gathering. You go from such a badass card back, such a badass cosmetic from that to this. How often do you have, oh, I was going to say a card that isn't a Planeswalker actually talk? And the reason why you do is because it is still technically a Planeswalker, apparently. Yeah, that's too bad, even though it's not hexproof, right? It's just ward, which is a kind of a bootleg version of it that I don't like quite as much. So I never really got to see the full-on buffing possibility of buffing Invisible Stalker for like some kind of OTK, and I just never saw. It would be like through the use of minions that you could do it, right? You would never do. And the reason why I'm trying to stop myself from doing hybrid stuff, except for with the two colors that I'm playing, is because I don't want to see. I don't want to see, like, I'll end up using green just as an excuse, right? Just because I like it so much, so it'll turn into something else. But no, people would dislike this too, because it's like, oh, I'm just playing as the same deck over and over. But within the context of my collection too, like, what would you really expect? I can't make like a really top tier deck anyway, or I don't really want to, right? So if it's two things. Like, one, my collection might not be good enough, or I don't have the cards readily available all the time to make whatever I feel like making. So I'm kind of forced to. But then in the second hand, I want to use a very specific mechanic and type of gimmick, right? Just that speaks for itself. So
violence is not the answer.
You know, even as blue, I always complain, oh, only blue has hexproof, so I'm forced to use blue just for that reason alone. But then on top of that, I can't really do anything else too, because even as blue, I'm gonna make that as the next gimmick, just like can't be countered, right? Fucking why is it? But then they won't be hexproof as well, right? You'll have to just make a 40 card deck, 60 card deck with just Carnage Tyrant, which obviously you can't do. I'll hack the game like people hack PvZ Heroes to apparently have 40 copies of the same card. But no, you have a situation where, for fuck's sake, I even said this is like a lower curve type of deck, and you're still getting mana screwed. The point is that you have a situation where I don't even know what's happening with that, but I obviously can't do anything. You want to, on one hand, you might not always have cards on hand, right, within your collection, because it's a free to play whatever, not the greatest collection size, etc. But also you're trying to stay true within a certain gimmick, so there's only so much you can do within that gimmick. So people might look at it the wrong way, like, you know, you could try the same gimmick, Goyf Daddy, which is one of those like Cthulhu looking things. You have a situation where you're able to, again, build within a criteria. Like, every card has to be hexproof or ward. I don't care if you're the best player in the world. I don't care if you have the best every card in the game. You still wouldn't be able to do much more. It doesn't mean you have some hexproof and some ward and then you build around it with an optimal way. It means that you literally only have to build around those two things. You must have every single thing there. Even doing the other thing where you build a good deck around it, you would still need to emphasize it a bit more than probably people would, because you'll realize the best decks are always like not like that. They might have a few cards that happen to have a mechanic on them, but it won't really be like this synergistic, or not even that this is really a synergy. It just won't be this cohesive where, you know, like every single fucking card in your deck is going to be like that, right? There's no such deck probably in the history of existence, because where you have like literally your whole deck is just 40 minions and they're all hexproof, like, or hexproof or ward. There's no such thing. But no, that's the sad part. I'm forced to play blue just because every hexproof card in the game is blue, but then even there's not enough, so you have to start using ward too. For a game that has an extremely high card count as this does, I'm always surprised to see that, right? Like, there's certain mechanics that there's still just not that many cards of, especially for like other colors. Like, shouldn't there be by now a decent amount of green cards with hexproof and other cards? But there's really not, right? Like, it gets to the point where it gets so bloated, the colors lose their identity a little bit with respect to you know, it would start off and, okay, green is not supposed to be about flying in the original vanilla version of the game, right? Like, that's their one weakness. But then over the course of 10 years or decades of design, they're going to have plenty of flying cards now because, you know, everybody's just going to get everything. It's kind of similar to what people say in MMO sometimes, like, you know, in Classic WoW, mages couldn't heal, but now they probably have 1,000,000 heals just because, again, everybody gets everything over time with sort of a power creeped out. Look at, he's already at 9, dude. It's so easy to get them low, but it's so hard to finish them off. Right, they often end up doing more damage to themselves than I do just because you fucking clown. You're gonna counter it. You're gonna... So fucking annoying. This is like the bad blue that I hate versus the good blue that I'm trying to be. I'm trying to be the change I wish to see in the world where, you know, it was really a good opposite interpretation moment where it's like, I'm forced to play as blue, you say, so I must use some spell heavy deck, but I'm not going to because I'm actually going to, you know, do the opposite. I'm going to go full anti-spell mode, which is something I really like doing in Hearthstone too. With all the elusive stuff, which is basically what hexproof is. Hexproof is a little better, I guess, because you can target your own stuff, but they can't. Whereas with elusive, nobody can target it. But no, like if you were able to buff these more effectively, it would make that all the better. He's down to 6. Like all I'd have to do is get 1 attack off, but this whole fucking dude's deck is the same shit. Are you serious, bro? There's nothing I can do. I mean, there's literally nothing. This is what I hate, when you get punished for just playing like a board-focused deck. All I'm trying to do is just summon something. It's not that big of a deal, but there's nothing I can do. Create 2/0/2s whenever it blocks a creature on tap. Hexproof as long as you control illusion. And I just can't play anything ever. Like, literally fucking blue gets countered by blue. You know, a spell counter deck gets countered by a deck that uses spells. How ironic. Like, forget about hexproof. I just need something that says it can't be countered, but then they'll still use removal once I play it out there. So I need something that can't be countered and has hexproof and has ward and has everything. Like, fucking... Which would be kind of redundant, but... Some sort of AoE protection, too. Like, just this card can't be destroyed by... something that doesn't specifically target it.
Nearly the entire library.
Six mana, 4/5, which I almost don't even mind, but it's just not gonna stick. Like, you're just never gonna let me. Like, what the fuck was this deck, bro? What the fuck? Yeah, I should have played something like this. How satisfying is that? Which in some ways, you know, it's still the same fetish, if you will, that you get off on. That, oh, you're preventing your opponent from doing anything, but not like, it's not like, oh, you prevent your opponent from playing minions. It's just you prevent your opponent from being able to do anything about my minions. That's what I like more. So here we have the simple ability to basically, black or red, I guess, is meant to be anyway, because that's what we're doing next. What was I saying I wanted to make? Like, if I could make a toxic what? Well, let's do it after this, but I think we made one that was like sort of a wish list thing. Why does this one have the... Didn't I make one that was like incomplete? Maybe it won't show up here then. I made one that sort of had everything I wanted to put in there as far as like toxic flying stuff, and now I can't find it. What the hell? But whatever, let's do the stupid blue one that we were doing, or I mean the white one that we were doing, and see which one does better. Which you might think, oh, it's got to be white now since I did so badly there, but you'd be surprised because, you know, they both might go 0 and 2. So then you could do it by, you know, you can do it 2 ways. Even if they both lose the best of 3, if you win one game out of the best of 3 still, that one does better if the other one didn't. Or... even if they both go 0 and 2, now you have to like count the number of moves. Like, oh, this one lasted longer than the other one or something, right? You can still try to find the best winner out of the loser's bracket. MLG Sova. Okay, that's pretty good. Well, see, but I'm gonna get so fucked hard on land. I don't even care though. I'll just try to rely on these two alone and just win with that. I'll still be better off because you're fucked up with... You get so fucking mana screwed. Now he'll have a card like that stupid ass thing that everybody uses that I can't remember. Thoughtseize, to get rid of that. Yeah, we'll try to change my cosmetics for next expansion, and we'll also try to change my... I'll do a red and black draft, and then I'll do a red and black deck. Both in terms of, you know, some sort of hybrid between the two, and also just individual decks. I might do the Sarkhan thing, but I almost don't want to. But like using dragons as red can be kind of the most fun thing. Right, with the same idea based on flying. Again, I'm treating flying like it's such a big deal. You could just get rushed down by this if you can't do anything about it, but it's not that hard to do anything about it just because they only have ward. If only that they had hexproof too, but then that'd maybe be too good for just one cost. But I love that. Like, this is really the curve that we're going for because I have so much fucking land in here too, but I always get mana screwed. It's unbelievable. You go ahead, you use this, and then it's still untapped, though it would make you think with one counter it should be usable now. Yeah, that's like a psychological test too for like society. Are you a metagamer net decker who just mindlessly does that, or are you somebody who has a little more imagination? Because most people don't. Right, in just a general life sense too. And I'm not even saying, oh, it's better than one or the other, but the two aren't exclusive. So people just look at it like you know, there's only one way to do something. So you can obviously do this, but it won't be able to attack anyway. Are you really going to let me get away with doing this? And the answer is you actually might. You're going to have some fucking removal, but you don't have enough land to really do it. Yeah, because you'll have to pay 2 anyway, so... We're going to hit you for 6, but you're going to do some crazy shit, which might still not be entirely relevant, but this is totally an aggro deck that I'm using, by the way. You can just tell, like, what the difference in what we're trying to do here is, though. Oh, or even the heals are what's going to fuck me over. They don't have an answer to the flying thing, but they are just going to keep healing with that, like, every single turn. This I can block at least something with. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, gain 4 life. If this is the first time this ability resolved this turn, like, what the fuck, dude? Whatever vague chance I might have had is ruined just by that. Yeah, I don't even know what the next expansion is. I saw a reference to it somewhere in the game, but I can't remember now. But I almost like it to be a surprise. Imagine playing a card game or an MMO blind, which nobody does ever in the history of fucking existence. Even when they first come out, there's always like these meta strategies, and everybody's become so cynical with that, right? It's like this whole mentality of, oh, games used to be better back in the day, and oh, it's not just nostalgia, and now today games suck, right? Games aren't fun anymore. The only reason why people would say that is for this reason, that everybody treats them so cynically that, like, oh, nothing's a surprise and nothing's fresh and new anymore. It's all just, we try to metagame it, look stuff up, everything's like a preconceived, foregone conclusion. Everybody treats it like, you know, oh, it's so easy, what a joke, but only because they have borrowed knowledge, mistaking it as their own, which I can understand in a landscape of gaming where everything is so complicated and over the top, and, you know, these games take thousands of hours to play and get anywhere with. So I can understand why people would give up trying to figure things out for themselves and do it that way, but don't hold that against the game then, because see, it's oftentimes the way you play it. The way you played it as a kid would have been, oh, you actually genuinely play it blind, either because you don't have the internet or you don't have resources. You might have a strategy guide, but you feel bad for using it. There was sort of a philosophy behind it. Or even still with single player games to some extent, people feel bad for looking stuff up. Like, let's actually do a blind first playthrough. But you would never do that with a multiplayer game for whatever reason. And also, you would have a simple ability to say, well, I want to do like... I want to do something along the lines of... Like as a kid, you would have played it blind either because you had to or because you had a situation where it was sort of a stigma. Oh, you feel bad for having your parents help you or your sibling help you beat a level or something, so you want to try to figure it out for yourself. So knowing is half the battle. Even though some of those games would be super cryptic, they still weren't as big or, you know, large scale as what we have today. So when games are open world and have thousands of hours of gameplay, people give up trying to figure it out, which I can't blame you for doing. But then don't become cynical and hold that against the game or act like, oh, it's so easy and everybody else in the past sucked. Or that, oh, you're so smart, or it's a foregone conclusion, so what's the point? There's no sense of discovery. Like, you want to go in blind, you want to be surprised around every corner, you want to try to figure things out, you want to be left in the dark, you want to have stuff to look forward to, right? All those kind of things that would have made it good. So it's not even just nostalgia that made older games seem better. It was the way that you played them, because again, you either didn't have as many resources or people just didn't think that way, but even you just deliberately played it in a certain style because that was part of the point. That you don't want to go in and already know too much or whatever. So when you treat games like a zero-sum solvable commodity that's just like an eventuality, then it becomes less fun instead of just an experience where it's not about just beating it, it's not about just knowing what the best thing to do is, it's not just about doing the same thing everyone else is and figuring out the optimal strategy and all that. It's about having the experience yourself. And, you know, just doing certain things you have out of preference, out of certain style that you're going for, out of just a general, dynamic, organic way that you might come about doing something. Like, you know, you might play a game blind for the first time, like Dark Souls or something, and you might come up with a build that isn't that good, but just because you either like it or, you know, it just happens to fall into place, then you don't know any better. And why would you? Because it's your first time playing, right? And that's still fine. Like, it's still good enough, and it's still enjoyable, instead of, again, there's one way and only one way to do something, but you wouldn't even know that if you were playing something truly blind. So in this instance, like, with a game like this, it wouldn't even be a case where, like, oh, I wouldn't know any better. Like, I obviously know the general gist of most of the stuff I use isn't good, but I'm doing so deliberately based on a certain criteria, or, you know, I guess the way I built my collection has been pretty stupid, though, that way, too. Even if I know it's not good, now I've hurt myself with, you know, potentially being able to do anything, because all the wild cards I've had, I've used on things that are just, you know, one-off gimmicks that I won't even use again now for a long time. But no, we have black and red to look forward to, and this wasn't the best showing for either of these decks, but I guess it's pretty much about average. So I could either make the toxic flying thing if this thing does better, or I could try to, but I don't have enough to really even make it. Or I could make a hybrid between blue and white, so it'll end the fitting way. Not that one deck does better than the other, but they both do equally bad, and they both go 0 and 2 to show how shit they are, both the colors and the decks themselves. And so then we'll combine them into the ultimate shit deck, and then we'll just go, you know, somehow 0 and 4 in a best of 3, just to show how absolutely shitty it is. Again, part of that's my fault, but again, I don't like either of these colors at all. I don't like healing. I don't like flying, really. I don't like hexproof, or I mean, I don't like spells. I love hexproof, but I don't like having to always use blue in order to try to use it. I love how long these people take, too. Like, I don't have a win condition, bro. Like, all you have to do is just anything, and I lose. But I don't like to resign either, but it ends up wasting my time. Like, just hurry out. Or, you know, you might think, oh, they're BMing you, but what is the BM? Like, it's not even fun. What am I doing that would make you feel good about BMing me anyway? Like, look how long it goes on, bro. It's like we're playing two different kind of games. Like, if you try to play some sort of normal Yu-Gi-Oh! 4-star frenzy type shit that I would do against, like, synchro summoning, which you're almost just forced to do. And you might say, oh, it's the fault of playing Timeless, you see. But it has nothing to do with that, really, because even when I was playing Historic or whatever, you're still going to see really top-tier decks, right, that have all this kind of crazy interaction. The only reason why I like it is because it lets me use, like, a wider variety of cards in the history of the game, or at least see them. I want to see as many cards as possible and have the maximum amount of variety. I mean, we still have a chance to win one, but I highly doubt we're going to. So what we'll do now is I will basically try to play, assuming we're going to lose this one, I will try to use a hybrid deck between the two. Right, with no real preference between which one gets more. Whatever, because they both did so badly, we're not going to reward either color. So we're going to do hexproof with blue, and we're going to do flying with white, and maybe we'll fit in the toxic as well there. Even as weird as that seems. Maybe like there aren't too many things with hexproof and toxic though, I don't think. But mainly those are the two mechanics that we take out of it. Where we have, we associate obviously white with flying, we associate blue with hexproof, not that that's even necessarily accurate. You would associate blue more so with just degenerate use of spells. Right, the way that we saw like in that last best of 3, where the guy is going to literally... This guy was supposed to be the star of the wait, what? Wait, what happened? Wasn't I using the white deck? Wait, did it bug out? I thought I was just using the white deck. Because we already... Wait, what? How did I switch decks in the middle of a best of 3? I just lost as blue, so I thought I was playing as white. Unless this is somehow a hybrid mix already. I'm so confused. I just sideboarded my whole deck out and cheated, even though you're not allowed to do that. What the fuck just happened? What was I just playing? Well, either way, I guess this will count. Even the game is sick of seeing white. I'm so fucking confused. It couldn't even be that he's even confused too. Like, what the fuck happened? I'll win because of this, because he couldn't play around the fact that my deck just literally changed in the middle of a best of 3. And I've not even used sideboarding as a mechanic, but even if I did, I couldn't have sideboarded the whole deck. This guy must be in shock if he's not a bot even. Yeah, a lot of mechanics I just choose not to use because I generally don't like them. Whether it be... you know, whether it be the companion pet, whether it be the sideboarding, things like that. I don't think I've ever used them in the whole playthrough so far, and it doesn't really matter too much either. But yeah, in drafts, generally, there's less of an excuse that you would say, oh, you're losing because you're choosing to use some sort of metagaming thing, or non-meta thing. But in those, I still am generally trying to win. I swear to God, if I go back and look, I can't even remember what I was really playing in that game, but I thought I was using the white deck. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe because I have the cat face on both. Maybe I'll play the white one after this. I'm so confused. All right, let's deal with both of these. You can't possibly win though, because I don't have any removal and I can't deal with healing. So the whole goal is if they just don't play any healing stuff, don't play any flying stuff, don't play any AoE, any, you know, counter, just don't play anything and I win. But sometimes they can still do what they're trying to do, but if they just don't have an answer for this, that's fine. But healing is way too strong for me here. How fitting would that be though if it actually did switch in the middle? Whatever, we'll do white one more time just because somehow this manifested. I mean, we lose as soon as he plays that because there's no way I can mathematically outdo the fucking thing. I might have actually just cheated my whole format by doing this. I accidentally played... Like, this shouldn't even count for... even if I did win something, it wouldn't matter because... Okay, bro, we've seen enough blue, so I guess I'll do it for that reason. But I'm not sure what actually just happened. 'Cause I swear I was trying to use the other one. I normally don't like to resign, but I don't get it. Additional time was like, how the fuck did that happen? So we'll just pretend that one didn't happen, and we'll play clearly as the white one. And then, based on this outcome, I could either do, again, the toxic flying thing maybe I'll try, or some sort of hybrid between the two. Even as bad as they are individually, clearly they'll be even worse together. Holy shit, bro. No, maybe I'm just easily amused or not easily bored by doing the same thing over and over. See, even people would complain, like, oh, the meta is stale, and you see the same stuff over and over, but I end up playing a gimmick deck, but then I'll use the same one, but maybe, again, because I don't have the best variety of stuff to change it too much, or because maybe I don't really play that much either, so it doesn't seem that bad. I made, like, some mythic high-cost dragon that's like a 7-mana, 7/10. That's pretty cool, but other than that, there hasn't been much change to this one. It's just basically flying stuff. It was supposed to be like flying and buffing, but I don't know how much buffing there really even is either. Bro is about to solve the whatever the fuck it's called from Hellraiser. What's it called? It has a weird name. The little puzzle that unleashes the Cenobites. They made like 7 or 8 of those movies too, which is crazy, but they were all like straight to video. How did they even decide that though? Like, how do they know it's gonna be so bad that it's straight to video? Like, this is like some sort of low budget thing they can't get released, but how do you know it wasn't gonna do better? Or maybe if it did really well on video, then the next one they won't do like that, but... This guy actually ends up buffing stuff a little bit. And you cast a creature spell, enters with a +1/+1. Sometimes that guy has gotten out of hand, but where's all the removal that we typically see when I'm playing as even ward and hexproof? They still find a way to do shit like that, but now they won't be able to do it when this guy has no protection at all. And the whole thing with 9 lives is you gotta wait to actually do it till you're super low. What we have to do now is just see, I mean, we went technically 0 and 4 with that, I guess. But that doesn't really even count, because I wasn't meant to do that. Or no, I should have enlisted this shit. Right, if for no other reason than the buff. As this creature attacks, you may tap a non-attacking creature. When you do, add its power to this creature until end of turn. Which you might think that's even redundant. It doesn't matter, and in fact it's even bad because you would rather attack with flying here than you might not be able to attack with this guy because he doesn't have it, but you would want to do it for the buff, and now I might not be able to. And again, you do have some toxic shit in here, I guess, anyway, but it's not really going to work. But by the time I hit you 10 times with this, you would be dead anyway, so let me do the buff thing now. Enlist. Do that. Wow, look at this epic synergy, but when the guy just doesn't fucking play anything, it's fine. Like, why would you have to... You know, I could have beaten this with the hexproof deck if you really just played like this and didn't do anything. Which could be famous last words, but you're really not doing anything at all. You're not playing on anything on the board, but you're also not removing my stuff, and you're also not countering it when I first play it, so what the fuck are you doing? And before they have a 1, you know, OTK coming out, but 2, 4, 6, we're very close. Creatures you control get +1/+1. He gets a +1/+1 already, and then you're almost dead, so I just have to do this little buff thing once more. Assuming you can't clear my board, which you might easily be able to do. I almost am tempted I should have done that, just in case he has a you know, win condition coming up that is gonna totally fuck me over. Yeah, we're totally gonna win because of the toxic counter. Like, so often, even when I did play a toxic deck, I wouldn't win because of that anyway. I would just win in raw damage value before that even gets to that point. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's just a BM play because you're such a toxic player yourself. Or like trying to kill them with both, right? The final hit is also the 10 toxic counter, so therefore it's like a double kill. Like, what kind of shit is he using, bro? Whenever one of your creatures die, opponent loses 2 life and gain 2 life. I mean, I can't imagine he would have anything with the 1 land. But this guy's actually using a bad deck like mine. So people are saying don't play in Timeless. This is the kind of deck you want to see in Timeless. Like, wow. What an amazing achievement. What a bitter taste, though, that white wins out the best of 3 set. On a day where we're trying to close out and show that blue is better, because I like hexproof at least. Right, there was nothing about white that I really liked, but let's try to actually 2-0 this guy. But yeah, I think I should do red and black for the draft. I was kind of debating, but the reason why I like it is because we'll be able to stock up on a certain number of cards that could be fun to mess around with too when we finally make the deck for it. This dude's actually not bad value. I mean, 1 mana 1/2, or I mean 1 mana 2/1 with the buff effect capability. But all you'd have to do is use basic removal. Like, why couldn't you do that the entire last game? That's my whole ace win condition card, clearly, even though it's just a basic buff. Yeah, now he's actually playing active. Maybe he had some other expectation of what I was doing. And then he realized my deck is just completely garbage, so you can just play it normally. You don't have to hold back for some crazy combo. Even 9 lives, you might question why is that in here, but I guess it fits within. That was even in the blue deck too, I thought. Or no, how could it be? But it's like, you know, it has to be either hexproof or flying, which most of the stuff here is not going to be hexproof. Seal from existence. That's what we're about to do to white and blue, where we're never gonna fucking play them again. But no, I'm just going to assume this expansion I started with that other thing. The if an opponent lost life, okay, that's pretty easy to do, and it is flying. Enters the battlefield, exile non-land permanent with the opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. You just stack up the flying shit. You might not be able to do anything about it for now, and then you'll just go with this. Beginning of your upkeep, investigate. At each other angel you control enters the battlefield with a +1/+1. No, I haven't really done the healing buff type of thing that always would trigger me, where like every time something gets healed, it buff something. Every time something buffs something, it gets healed, or every time you summon something, you get healed, stuff like that. And so it's just an endless loop of buff nonsense. And just healing in itself would always trigger me too. I feel like this is the more simple type of gameplay style that I like, though. Even though, like, where it's not so bloated. Even if I was to lose a game like this, I'd be fine with it. Because neither of us are doing anything really that crazy. It's just that he can't seem to deal with flying or anything. I mean, you could block them at least once. But it makes this deck actually look good, even though it's not at all. We're gonna get lethal from this, because it literally... it gains vigilance until end of turn. So we'll have a perfect lethal combo with these two cards plus this. But no, sometimes people misinterpret what sort of power creep does. Power creep doesn't make a game necessarily more complicated. It can just make it more convoluted. Like, you know, it's not the same thing. Or no, you could actually still block it. Right, you can still block it with this one dude. So even though we have perfect lethal, it's not actually going to be, or you just give up anyway. But that one actually wins the whole best of 3 set. That means we can play Magic Online, which I obviously haven't done, but that's typically my criteria if I actually win a best of 3, which is not really much to ask, but you'd be surprised with these decks. So what that means is I could actually make a blue-white hybrid where I'll maybe try to emphasize white more just as a reward for that performance. So we'll put in like 15 white and like 10 blue, and then we'll basically we'll basically be able to, it'd be a shame not to use different colors as well, like different pictures. I mean, it's really confusing to keep track of. But 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Then we'll do blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we'll do, again, like, of the 35 cards that remain, you could do like 20 or like 25 and 10, maybe something like that. Or I don't know exactly what the right ratio would be. But let's just see. Okay, so mainly we want to put flying. Let's see how many toxic things we actually have. I don't have very many wild cards to work with, so I don't think this is actually going to work. It would be the ultimate sort of just troll way to sort of push that whole idea of, you know, trying to make it unmitigatable, but it's really not. As much as you might... You know, you have this guy 3 times over, gains toxic +1. You know, fuck it, we may as well since we're doing blue. 1 2 3 4. This is blue and black though, unfortunately. Shit, there's just not enough, bro. Let's just do flying overall then. That would be a cool kind of fun troll archetype thing to do, but I guess we won't do it yet. Let's just go with some of the same stuff that we were doing as far as just having flying. This thing doesn't even seem worth it. One of those, let's see. This thing is pretty good. So we'll only put like maybe 10 cards of that in there. Why is this not even there? What? Oh, I guess I have only less of them. Let's see. Flying, lifelink, don't really care. Give me something a little better, higher cost. Should be a lot of the same stuff that I'm already using anyway. Flying, 3 mana, 2/2. You always got to emphasize the low cost stuff too. We'll do one of each of those, so we'll get it up to like 50, I guess. Mesa Cavalier, you gain 2 life. Not really a big fan of it, but okay. Sometimes they'll just mention flying, but they won't actually be flying though. This thing was pretty good. This thing is okay. 3 mana, 3/4. Return a permanent you control to its owner's hand. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, it gets +1 till end of turn. If it wasn't till end of turn, that would actually be okay. When it enters the battlefield, exile to 2 cards. Where are all the ones that I was just using? What the fuck is going on? Is this not the right format or something? This is okay. This is okay. There was another one. Whatever, bro. Some of these are such shit value, though. The 50, 51 is okay. So let's just do the rest in terms of... we'll do like a couple blue cards here, but they're not meant to be flying. They're meant to be... Well, you know, maybe you could kind of press that point, though, still. But I don't think I have that many that would fit that. They're meant to be more so ward or hexproof. Or it's actually meant to just be hexproof overall. Come to think of it. Although that's such a perfect alliance between the two there. Let's just see. Hexproof for blue, and then we get to... You know, I don't care even if it's low cost emphasis. We're not going to be able to get... We're not going to be able to play shit, actually, come to think of it. Let me see. 1, 2. I wish I could make more of those, actually. Is there not one other thing with like flying and hexproof both, or it'll be more likely flying and ward? Flying. Creature spells you with flying cost 1 less to cast. Flying ward, okay. You know what, bro? We might actually... See, you won't get this much fucking... You won't get this much mana ever with just blue because you have so little to begin with. Fine, that's good enough. Or apparently we don't have that. So 60 out of 60, perfectly fine. It was mostly a white deck. We'll do a best of 3 with that, and this will actually cap off the whole fucking expansion. And never playing as these two colors again, probably. And so yeah, I'm trying to avoid even playing hybrid decks, except hybrids with the 2 colors that we're actually using. Right, so I don't know, I accidentally played like an extra best of 3 with blue, but that didn't even help. But I wouldn't have even counted that if it did. But white actually won its best of 3, which is surprising. Yeah, what better way to end off than combining these two? This is like a card game version of a Curdle. Like, just not only are they 2 colors I don't like, but also they're two decks that are just so bad anyway. I'm more so conceding to the whole flying thing, right? Because I think I put the 2 pixies in there, despite the fact that they're only ward. I thought I would have maybe stayed more true to hexproof, but I didn't. But imagine losing to this deck. See, this is where it would mean that much more. I'm literally the dude that would deliberately use a bad deck and win 1 out of 10 games, just because when I do finally win, it means 10 times more, right? Like, that's the whole principle, but that's not even really why still. It's just more like, I like the way that it works or something about it. Yeah, we'll go in next time. We'll do the 10k draft, black, red. We'll do that. We'll change the cosmetics. We'll make a deck. Maybe, well, maybe I won't have time to do all that, but we'll make a deck the episode after that. It's okay. It doesn't matter too much sometimes what lands you get. That's what's sort of deceptive about making rainbow stuff. That's actually not that hard. Usually stuff will only require 1 of a different color. So even if it's like, oh, it's a 6 cost, but it's 5 anything and 1 white, you know, or, you know, 4 something and 1 blue, it's not actually that hard to do sometimes. Very rarely does something have a lot of the same color. Whoops. We'll go ahead, we'll bring the fairy out. At least my decks are unique in that way, because probably nobody's ever used this before, because it's so fucking bad that why would anybody bother? You might think, oh, you'd use it out of necessity because you get to, whatever. Because, oh, it's the best you have, but it's unlikely for that to be the case, too, because you have the simple ability to, like, what do you call it? The way that I've crafted and sort of built stuff is not exactly the greatest anyway. This thing is just so good, but maybe I shouldn't have done it. So we have enough stuff. No, but the flying isn't even going to work. See, we'll just lose it because of that alone. There's no way that I can ever kill it. That's the problem. Right, I have to like block with one of these and something else. Okay, we're getting hard counter, dude. This is at least a good tease for what we have to come. Right, with respect to what we're going to be doing too. And I did make a decent amount of dragons, but I was always disappointed by their stat values. It's more so about the idea of like... It's more so about the idea of being able to summon them kind of cheaper and easier, like lowering their costs and stuff. But the value of them themselves is often not very good because somehow you're not able to actually do that. Like, they're just not very well statted. Even this is good. This is a 4 mana 2/2 or 4 mana 4/4. These are both actually going against that stereotype.
I'll show you unhinged.
I don't remember hearing that line. I'll show you unhinged, even though I used him so much myself. So I'm gonna let him do what he wants, but I'm basically dead already. And so now you get to really not do much of anything at all. Right, I'm gonna have to block some of this shit eventually. Like, his board isn't that threatening considering his hand is almost empty, but we could kill one of them. We could kill both of them, actually, if we just give up everything, which would be kind of worth it. Why would the mana thing even matter now? Well, I don't know what he has. Fuck off, bro. And I could still block even... No, I couldn't. This thing has haste too, so I'm actually going to die to that alone. Because we would like... Or we could just do it like this. Block, block, block. So we're not blocking that one to try to kill it. We're just blocking it to... Whatever. So we have exactly 1 HP. Target creature you control explores. Okay. Could you hit something while you explore too? Because I need that fucking lifesteal, bro. Okay, hurry up, dude. But I at least like these situations too, where you kind of maybe both end up in sort of top deck mode, even though I'm not. Just for the simple fact of return a permanent you control to its owner's hand. A permanent you control. Well, what if I don't want to? I don't know why I would even want to do that. So you're going to lose just on a raw sense because you're not able to... I use... Whatever, I'm dead. I'm dead. Just please, please, bro. They take so fucking long. Like, what is he waiting for? So we still have a chance. Like, his deck wasn't really that good, but his joy of pure chaos and destruction make him the perfect muscle of the group. But see, even though he's a gold player and timeless no less, right? His deck wasn't impressive at all, or maybe that was just a bad showing for it. But this could be the last game that we ever play as these colors, or at least for a super long time. But that's where I always make the exception anyway. That like, oh, if I do a draft, I am actually surprised that I didn't do drafts more throughout these expansions. Though I end up just doing the same shit over and over. Maybe because I can't afford them somehow. Because even lately I haven't been doing the daily quests because of the simple fact that this arguably isn't even worth keeping either. But what is going on with the game? Like, why is it so slow? It must be just him. Wait, what? What am I using? What? I didn't mean to use that. I guess I won't end up using it anyway. What keeps happening? I feel like the game is bugging out today. I didn't mean to use the blue deck. And then I somehow did. And then I didn't mean to use that. Whatever. We'll have the Stalker. We'll have this. And that is basically fine with me. Right, if you just can't deal with it, but you seem to be very capable of using flying stuff. But yeah, I have a lot of the same stuff myself, so I'm going to end up using some of it. So you have to get a mythic card just to get a basic value of... you get a mythic card to get the basic value of a 4-mana 4/4. Yes, it has flying, and yes, it has another effect too. But I'd rather it just be like a... You know, something a little better statted. At least this is a good tease of what is to come. Flying haste, you may exert it as long as it attacks. When you do, deal 4 damage to non... Oh, wow. Glory Bringer. And you might not think, oh, that's such an impactful thing, but since you can't have removal in this game anyway, or you can't attack stuff directly, right, that is a very good effect. Yeah, let's see who wins the DPS race between these. But no, like, I'm still not that impressed because this one has to be, you know, a mythic just to be a 4/4. This one is a 5/4/4. I'm not questioning their effects. I'm just saying that some of them should just be better statted inherently. We should use like that little black dragon pet that we actually have, or we don't have that much variety, I guess, between them. We have the one dinosaur card back that could almost be mistaken as a dragon, like the pterodactyl, but I always make fun that dinosaurs are basically dragons without wings, or you know, wingless birds even, because they're so bird-like. That's the sound that people always get wrong with them. Oh, fuck. Doesn't really matter, but... that they always think, oh, a T-Rex is going to sound like a tiger lion roaring, but it's actually a fucking more like a bird-like sound. So whatever, dude. We are going to definitely enjoy some dragon usage myself. And I'm going to play, you know, Sarkhan stuff, dragon stuff, and obviously as black. I haven't really played black and constructed much at all. I was almost more so saving it to try to do it only in arena for whatever reason, or like in a draft, I mean. But... you know, this was the most I played white and blue, obviously, over this last expansion in the history of the game, because the only time I maybe played it was either in a draft just to try it once or twice, and then also in some sort of hybrid thing where I would use some of the blue cards just because they're hexproof in my green deck. So it would be like a green-blue hybrid kind of, but I wouldn't even use green land in the process. And the reason why is because... what did I do? Did I say that accidentally? Or no, I think I just showed it there. But basically, you're in a position to... I did a green-blue hybrid, but it wasn't really blue because I didn't have any blue land. Because there's no such thing as blue land because it's water. That's an oxymoron, water land. But no, the point is that I did it on the basis of being able to basically... use the keratin and all the stuff that generates 1 mana of any color to summon the blue stuff because I didn't have much blue stuff in there, but that would be good enough, and I wouldn't actually need to have any blue lands because I didn't want to. Okay, see you tomorrow.